Baylor shouted guys, Kidarawi UK vlogs. Welcome to my vlogs. So this is the story of the red nuts. Waling-Waling artist. Ayan. I think relate dito ang aking story. Ayan. See you in my vlogs. And welcome everyone. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Okay, so please put your hands together for Waling-Waling.
The red nuts. This is the story of red nuts being pushed to the brink of extinction. This is also our story. This is a story of us, Waling-Waling, a group of migrant domestic workers. This is a story of being a worker and having to leave your country and the cost of it all. The red nuts is a migratory bird that makes a long and treacherous journey from Siberia to Africa in winter and return in spring. Of course, it was not meant to survive the harsh winters in the Arctic, but things are changing drastically.
In the 80s and 90s, we were brought into the UK as a domestic workers for very wealthy households. How do we end up here? My story is that, having despite a degree in civil engineering, I had to look for opportunities outside the Philippines. But when I arrived, I realized I was tricked, forced to sign an Arabic language contract that a wealthy family is employing me as a domestic worker. I didn't have the money for a flight home, so I don't have any choice but to work. A few years later, the employer took me into the UK.
The problem was, at that time, Margaret Thatcher had just removed our rights. She wanted to crack down the immigration, but the main thing she did was abolish the domestic workers visa. This is the visa that ensured we have the same labor rights as anyone else working in valued by the society. The visa meant we were at least protected as workers. However, once Thatcher had her way, we had no rights whatsoever.
Once in London, I can no longer bear the maltreatment of my abusive male employer. I escaped. I found Waling-Waling organization together with others who were able to manage to escape. But I was feeling relieved. But still, I'm suffering from fear and uncertainty of deportation. At Waling-Waling, we support. We continue to work very hard for many employers to support them and their children to thrive.
The red nuts have evolved to make the flight that takes them to warmer land to spend the winter and return to the Arctic in the spring to breed. All was going well until the planet started to heat up.
I was in the police force in my country, where I was educated in the security service, but yet income wasn't enough. Although public servants
job well and work hard. I look after the house and also cook for everyone in the family. I take care of the children. I was there for all their needs. I dropped at the school only to be mistaken and their mom. And also probably because they are very happy and excited to see me, and I was happy, excited to see them too. And I'm sure my job was important to me, and I would think my job is important to the society too.
The red nut make an epic trek that begins in northern Siberia and passes through Europe to reach the Sahara. For the journey, the birds consume more than the weight of their bodies to power the ever-pumping flight muscles. They travel thousands of miles, experience different weathers, and lose a lot of weight by the time they are at their destination.
As a single mother, I work in the textile factory in the Philippines to provide it for my 3 children. After 8, I have to work to Hong Kong as a domestic worker. I have a skill to my work. Not only a domestic workers in the house, but also working in my employer's watch business. I did my work brilliantly, extended long hours. My employer insisted to take me to the UK, but I love working in Hong Kong and I don't want to leave. They held my passport and they told me they can bring me back after a couple of months, but that never happened. I didn't choose to come here.
The exploitation of domestic workers is commonplace. Low wages, lack of protection, lack of privacy. As we are women working in isolation, you can imagine the exploitation that we can face includes abusive employers, sexual harassment, and rape. And there will be many cases of workers fleeing their employers' houses, leaving behind everything they had in their documents. In early 1990s, we campaigned for our rights, and we were supported by unions, lawyers, the public, and other migrant groups in MPs. And we were successful. Domestic worker visa was introduced in 1997-98.
The red nut as a species had survived earlier changes in climate. But current human-caused Arctic warming is proceeding much faster than any natural warming episode. Red nut have experienced their species' entire existence.
The victory was shot in 2012. She introduced the Modern Slavery Act, saying this will stop trafficking. But domestic workers are never trafficked. We are workers with a contract of work from our countries. We came here with our employers to work for them. The system should not have victimized us. We already have an employment right along with protection. And the system should not have victimized us and taken away our rights as workers.
The domestic worker in this country has been here for ages. Domestic work has and will always be around. Yet we are forced to keep it, are made invisible. Unlike in the 80s and 90s, the domestic workers who are brought into the UK and escape really struggle to get by. It is not called a hostile environment for nothing. We can't
coming weeks you'll have the same rights as any other workers in the country. Hence, we were never trafficked to begin with. The system should recognize that we are workers. And also, the system should not have victimized us and taken away our rights. The question here now is, why are the largest group of workers in the country has been victimized against? Why have we been discriminated against? We are not included in the Employment Rights Bill. We are not included in the Health and Safety Act. The Health and Safety Act 1974 does not include migrant domestic workers in the private household. We are the largest group of workers in the country, and our work is very crucial to the society. We have been victimized against this, and the system needs to change. The system needs to recognize that we are workers and we demand workers' rights.
The argument
Dread and the historical subjugation continues in the form of exploitation of labor and resources.
The risk of reaching the Arctic when it's still too cold is a cause of flying sooner. But current human-caused Arctic warming is proceeding much faster. If rednuts arrive just few days too early in Arctic, they're not merely suffer inconvenience but starve or freeze to death.
To be stuck in this hostility isn't their choice. The cost that we've been paid for, being away from our family and communities, is the one to provide for them. Will we have the choice to get... Will we have the choice to give up our responsibilities? Do we even have the option? If we have the choice to work at home, we would take it in a blink. And now we choose to fight for our rights, the right that was taken away from us.
Before we have to get out of the space. So I don't know if we can put the lights up if there's any questions for the group. I'll let the group take the questions because they can do that. But yeah, can't see anyone actually at the moment. But have a think.
There's one question here. Yeah, there's one
Yes,
question.
if you look at the history of housekeepers, internationally, they were always had a difficult time. And when you came over, did you?
That we are very lucky that the Labour government during the year 1997-1998 they recognized the domestic workers need to have this visa, or they recognize that domestic workers is work in the United Kingdom. But on the year 2012, the coalition government headed by Theresa May is stripped of the rights of the domestic workers, and believe it or not, that the abuses to the domestic workers was even more hard than the before. So we are campaigning for the rights to be back. So thank you for all your support. We fight for that.
And your employer is away. It's not my problem. If she's away, it's not my problem because I'm there. But the problem saying if she came back, that means there is no day off, there is no rest, there is non-stop. You have to keep going because you've been resting. But it's not my fault because I was there. You are the one who went away. I'm a human. I'm not an animal or I'm a human being. That means I need to rest. But they never respect that. When they get you, that means when they come, that means you have to keep going like around the clock. Never think about if you didn't ask to rest or to get to eat, you will never have it. Or you have to hide to eat. Otherwise, you will be like that, just keeping on asking and asking for things. If you ask, like I used to work from 7 o'clock in the morning to 1 in the morning again, and then if I didn't say to them, sorry, I have to go to bed, they will never say that. And then even when I ask for it, they come up with, can you do for me a chamomile? Can you cut some fruit for me? Can you bring me that from there? Can you? And then they did not fed up with the questions, you know. They want you to keep on the front of them and answer the.
What you gonna do? I don't wanna be the one who just keeps on chasing you, baby. Don't you know it's true?